guys, and welcome back to this Express workout series. In today's follow-along workout, our main focus is to improve mobility around the hip area, especially with those dreaded tight hip flexors. We're also going to review two assessments. The first assessment is evaluating hip flexion range of motion, which is especially important and relevant to runners and cyclists. Secondly, we're going to discuss the Beighton score, which is a metric to help guide our mobility practice and basically tell us how much static stretching, if any, we need to be doing as far as our mobility routine. So we're going to take a little bit of a different approach today in our mobility session, and this approach is guided from a seminar I went to years ago from the folks at MAT, or Muscle Activation Technique. And their whole premise or point of view is, well, we have to ask ourselves, well, why do our muscles feel tight, or are they tight in the first place? And from their perspective, it's more than just stretching those muscles out. Their theory is that muscles feel tight is because upstream or downstream, or the around area of those muscles, we have weak muscles, which are creating more tension in the system. So for our session today we're going to focus on, we're not going to do any static stretching. We're going to instead focus on stability and activation of the muscles around the core and the trunk, and we're going to see how that feels as far as more of a permanent solution to our hip mobility issues. So a great analogy the folks at MAT use to summarize their whole point of view is, think of yourself walking on ice, i.e. an unstable surface, right? Our muscles get short, tighten, and contract to guard ourselves and protect ourselves from injury because we're on an unstable surface, versus when we get off the ice, right? We have stability, our muscles can relax now and function more optimally. And that, to me, kind of sums it up perfectly. So before we get started, guys, please give us the thumbs up to make sure you're good to go, and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get started. Okay guys, before we get into our circuit, we're going to get into that hip flexion range of motion assessment. And so what that is we're in a standing position, our toes are straight ahead, ideally in bare feet as well too. And we're going to pull our knee up actively to see if we can come up to about 120, 130 degrees. Okay? So that's versus this is about 90 degrees. So can we get to 120, 130? And again, I'll show you from the other point of view is, can we do it without our chest collapsing? We need to be able to keep our trunk upright and actively raise up 120, 130, like so. And again, making sure the knee doesn't come out, it should be straight up like so. Even more of a bonus, guys, like I said, this is especially relevant to cyclists and runners. A running assessment, which you guys can do on your own, can you not only achieve this, but can you stabilize for 30 seconds, which is a good indicator of foot and hip stability, okay? So you can give that a try as well. Okay, also guys, we want to see how this actually affects before and after when we do all this activation work. So just a couple of assessments so you can do it before and after a comparison. I like to start with just a general forward fold, so toes straight ahead. Touch your toes, whether you can touch your toes or not, that's fine. Just pay attention to how the back feels, how the hamstrings feel. And another good one I would suggest, guys, is just getting into your squat position. Hold, toes straight ahead, and just hang out for a couple seconds. Just pay attention to the ankles, the hips, just to see how you feel. We're gonna go through all this activation work and just do it before and after comparison. So our first exercise of the day is called TikToks. And what it is we're just gonna be standing up, ideally in bare feet, hands on the hips, and we're just going to lean to the side, balancing on one side, and then to the other side. Balance, balance. So again, ideally we have our shoulders kind of leaning the same way. We're not collapsing upstairs, we're just back and forth balancing. And again, this comes from another seminar I took, a Pilates seminar, and we started the class off like this, and I was chuckling to myself thinking, what are we doing here? And we did this for about 3 minutes straight. And by 2 minutes, my hips were on fire. And so we're only going to do it 60 seconds here, guys. But what we're doing is we're activating all the deep muscles of the foot, all the way up the leg, the lateral system, so our adductors, and on glute med, glute minimus, all deep hip stabilizers, as well as the core on the one side as well too. So again, we're only going to do this about 60 seconds. But in my opinion, this is a really underestimated exercise. But you could also throw this in your daily routine if you just wanted a movement break from sitting. So we're about approaching 60 seconds and I feel a little bit of a burn in my glutes there, back and forth. And again, we're just activating all the deep muscles within the hip. Okay, so again, you guys can keep that one and just do it a bit longer, but like I said, it's a really good underestimated exercise for just remember the spirit of activation. Okay, next one, guys. This is this one here. This would be more relevant too if we notice tightness in our forward fold. So now we're going to apply this stuff where the opposing muscle may be weak, which is limiting our forward fold. So we are going to activate the rect fem, which is a hip flexor, one of the hip, muscles that crosses the hip joint. And we're going to do that by just keeping chest up. And all we're going to do is just lift up our leg. Like so, and back down. We're going to go for 5 each leg. Chest up. If you really have to, you can lean back, but keeping your chest up. Up and 2. Up and 3. Ideally, toes are pointing straight up. This is 4. 1 more. And 5. Good. So we'll go 5 on the inner side. You may notice, guys, you're getting a bit tight again because the muscles we haven't utilized may be a little weak. Okay? So chest up. We're going to go for 5. And back down. 4. 3. Again, chest up as well, 2. 2. And very good. Slowly down. Okay. Same premise, guys. We're going to change the angle. So again, our hips function in many different angles. So we're going to do the same thing, except for we're not only just going to lift straight up, we're going to lift up and come across and lift up again. So we're going to go again 5 reps. Up, over, drop it, up, over, and drop it. Okay, let's alternate sides this time. So up, over, drop it, up, over, and drop it. That is 2. Up, over, 3, and up, over, and 4. My legs are getting a bit tight here. It obviously means I need to do this more. And again, let's go a few more here. Up, over, that's 5. Up, over, 6. We're only going to 10 total. Up, over, 7. Up, over, 8. 1 more each, guys. Chest up, over, last one, up, and over. Awesome. Okay, again, muscle cramping, guys, is normal. Again, the more times we do this, the stronger these muscles are going to get and less chance of any cramping. Okay, so obviously take a rest if you need to, or you can lean back to make it a little bit easier. Okay, next one, guys, we're going to get into our mountain climbers, which again, we're going to be actually utilizing our hip flexors and getting to work with a strong, stable core. So again, just because we are tight in the hip flexor doesn't mean we're strong, right? So we're just gonna go in, we're just gonna go 5 each side. We're gonna go into a high plank position, right? Lifting up, and we're gonna slowly bring the knee in, like so, for 1, for 10 total. Good, 2, 3, and 4, only 10, guys. 5, 6, breathing as well too, if you can. 7, 8, a couple more, 9, and 10. Good. Okay, we are going to flip over to the other side now, and we're going to activate the glutes. Okay, so just a standard glute bridges, guys. So we're going to be on our mat, toes pointed straight ahead, and as we come up, right, we're going to squeeze the glutes. So you can put your hands here for stability, and we're going to come up and squeeze. Again, as we activate the glutes, well, our muscles, our hip flexors are going to relax more, right? So we're going to come up and squeeze, up and squeeze. 3 and 4, 15 total, guys. Up, 5, big pause at the top with a squeeze. 6 and 7. Over half on this one, guys. 9, making sure the heels are down and drawing connection with every single toe with our feet on the mat as well too. 9 and 10. Again, strengthening the glutes muscles, guys, is again muscles around our trunk, which are stronger, more activated, should loosen up the muscles even on the opposing side, which is our hip flexors. They do the opposite function. Okay, let's go for a couple more. And squeeze. And squeeze. Very good. Okay, so now let's flip it over, guys. We are going to go back into our mountain climber. We're going to change the angle. Remember, our hips function in multiple different planes of movement, right? So instead of bringing the mountain climber straight ahead, we're going to bring the knee to the outside or towards the same side elbow. Okay, same thing. We're going to go for 12 this time. Okay, so push up position. Okay, coming up and slowly coming up to the outside for 1. Outside, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. Also, you may notice one side may be a little harder to do than the other. That means you're tighter on one side. Could also mean the muscles, perhaps, would be weaker on that side too, right? And this is 10, 11, last one for 12. Perfect. Okay, next one, guys, we're gonna go again flipping back over. We're gonna go rear bridge or fingertips back, squeezing the glutes, and we're just gonna activate the other side, right? So our feet together, ideally fingertips back, up and squeeze. So I really like this one too, guys, as well, because again, from a mobility perspective, we wanna get all different ranges of our, for example, our shoulders. I'm getting some shoulder extension here. My elbows are extended. My wrists are extended, right? Under load, gaining stability in this range, right? It's not just about stretching, right? So pushing up, squeezing the glutes and holding. For those that are tight, you may notice a little stretch in the wrist, elbows and shoulders, okay? As long as it's not a painful situation, right? If you wanted to, you could back it down like this if you wanted to, but toes straight up, and we're just gonna keep holding and breathing and really actively pushing our hands into the ground. Bonus with mobility, guys, taking full deep breaths, right? So big breath in as well too, and exhale, and one more big breath, and exhale. Okay, one more mountain climber. We're gonna change the angle again. So this time, we're gonna bring it inwards and across to the opposite elbow. So this would bias more internal rotation of the hip. The other ones would bias more external rotation of the hip, okay? So we'll go, let's keep it to 12, so 6 apiece, nice and slow. High plank position, and this time I'm gonna bring my left knee to my opposite elbow. Again, guys, you need to be able to keep neutral spine, right? So we're not bringing to our elbow and folding in, right? We wanna keep integrity of the spine. Core is braced, so just whenever you can bring it across is fine. The main hallmark, guys, keeping neutral spine, keeping that braced position. So I think that's about 8, 9, only 12, guys, 10, 11, and 12. Good. And shake it out. Okay, this next one, guys, again, activating and mobilizing the adductors. Okay, so we're not stretching them. I really like this one. I'm going to show you both points of view. So we're actually going to come on our back, push our hands into the ground, create stability. Our feet are straight up, right? So our back can be flat, and the idea is this top leg stays straight, this one stays straight, and we come out to the side, and we come up like this. We're going to go one at a time. So the big thing, guys, this leg must stay straight, okay? So even if it means you're only coming out to the side like that and back in, that's fine. As soon as this collapses, right, and we don't want this moving either. It should stay straight and fixed, okay? So let's go for 10 on one side, right? So the top leg is as straight as possible. You're gonna come out to the side, and 1, and 2. It may feel weird if you've never done it before. 3, and 4, and 5. Only 5 more, guys. 6. You may notice you're getting a little extra range as you warm up. 8, 9, and 10. Very good. Okay, guys, so for the other leg, I'm just gonna flip around and give you guys a different perspective. So I'm just gonna face this way, right? I'm gonna come up, same position here. Okay, hands pushed into the ground, okay? Both legs as straight as possible. Again, you can see I'm not 100% straight, but that's the only range of motion I got, unfortunately. So straight as possible. And now we're gonna bring the other leg down. Again, this top leg is fixed. And 2, and 3, trying to keep the legs as straight as possible. 4, and 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, and 10. Awesome. So I put that in the category of, it's a lot harder than it looks, for me anyway. Okay guys, we have 2 exercises left. So the next one, we're gonna get into the deep stabilizers of the hip, and we're gonna do it off a side plank position. I'd recommend doing it on the bent knee position, which we're gonna do just so you can really focus on the top leg, okay? So we're gonna bend the bottom knee, and we're gonna come up into a plank. So again, in this position right here, we're definitely activating the core, but we've done these before if you've done some of my videos, but this time what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold the leg as straight as possible, and we're gonna go, they're called deep articulation. So we're gonna do small little circles, as high as we can. So let's count them. We're gonna go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a break if you need to, okay? Same thing, we're gonna come up and we're gonna do circles in the opposite direction. Again, just micro circles, keeping the leg up as high as possible, as straight as possible. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And again, lighting up all those muscles, those deep stabilizers of the muscles of the hip that are infrequently utilized or targeted, right? So let's flip it around to the other side. Again, recommend doing the plank, right? So hips are still open here, fully open, but we're on a bent knee so we can really focus on this top leg. So again, hip as high as possible, or leg as high as possible. 5, small circles, 4, 3, slowly, 2, and 1. And other side, other way. 5, 4, 3, 2, and excellent. Good. Okay, very last exercise, guys. We're gonna save the hardest one for last. Call this one butterfly sidekicks or karate chops, and we're basically in this position here. So this is home base. So if you're ever finding it too difficult, just chest up holding here and actively pull your knees to the ground, which again is gonna open up the adductors, okay? So what we do is we lean to one side, or you can push this knee into the ground, chest is up, and with no hands ideally, we lean out to the side and like point the toes and kick. So again, activating all those hip muscles. Return, reset in the center, chest up, lean to one side, point the toe, and ideally eyes looking at the foot and coming in. Okay, so to make it easier, again, you can even just hold this position or lean, hold here, and then kick and point. Back to center. Again, keeping chest up as much as possible. Lean, then grab the floor, point the toe, look at the toe, and kick. So again, you'll notice all these muscles of the hip are lighting up, okay? Off to the side and lean. We're gonna call it 1, 5, we're gonna go to 10. Chest up and lean. This is 6. Chest up and lean. Point. 7. Couple more, guys. 8. Couple more. Last 2. 1 each. That's it. And last one here. Lean and point. Awesome. Good. Okay, guys. So that's all of our circuit. I'm sure you've probably hit some muscle groups you've never really targeted before. It's okay if you've got some burning and cramping. It's again because we've never really isolated these muscles before, but the more frequently you do it, the stronger they're gonna get, which in turn is gonna create a lot more mobility and stability around the hips. So let's go back to where we started, guys. Test, retest. How does your forward fold feel? For me, it's way easier, less restricted, going into our squat hold. Again, way easier, just everything's activated, waking up. But again, we did 0 static stretching. Okay, which brings me to my last point, guys. The bite and score, which is that other assessment I talked to before. The link is in the show notes. So the bite and score is a mobility assessment that screens for hypermobility. So it's a point system you guys can go through and do yourself. And basically it's from 0 to 9. 9 meaning very hypermobile, which means you have joint instability, which means we probably don't want to do too much static stretching, if any at all, right? However, most of us probably lie somewhere in the middle, or like for me, I'm more towards the other extreme where I need to do more static stretching. So you have to, again, the solution is usually for most people a combination of mobility, which can include static stretching, and also dynamic warm-ups, stability protocols like what we did today, okay? So the big thing we have to ask ourselves though, if you're always chronically doing static stretching and you're always chronically tight and that's all you're doing, it probably means we need to do more strengthening workouts, more strengthening around the core, finding out the weak muscles that are the weak links which are causing that tightness. So again, it's like static stretching is maybe part of the answer, but not the full answer. Okay, so we want to be well-rounded in our approach for mobility. And that brings me to these express workouts, because frequency is very important, guys. We need to move every day. We need to kind of activate our muscles every day for permanent changes in mobility. So again, try these workouts out, especially when it comes to being busy. 20 minutes is enough to kind of maintain things. Sometimes you might find you have more time or energy. Follow on the next workout, again, the suggested workout, or go into the mobility playlist or workout playlist and choose your own adventure. Okay, other than that, guys, thank you so much for joining. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please share if you can, that would be very helpful. And comment below if you have any other ideas for future workouts. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.